Good evening and welcome to Sports News. In the next half an hour, all the action from the world of sports. First, the headlines. Cheteshwar Pujara scores third ton of the series to put India in a commanding position against Australia on day one of Sydney Test. Visitors finished day at 303 for the loss of 4 wickets. Jurgen Klopp's men look to continue unbeaten run in Premier League, face Manchester City in a high-voltage clash at the Etihad Stadium tonight. Manchester United in top 4 contention after 4th straight win in Premier League. Chelsea held to goalless draw at home to Southampton. And Rafael Nadal. All right, let's begin with India's tour down under. Now, India capitalized on winning the toss, raking up 303 for 4 by stumps on day one of the 4th and final test in Sydney. Cheteshwar Pujara played the anchor's role yet again with his masterful and third 100 of the series, helping India dominate Australia on the opening day of the 4th test. And it's also the final test, remember. Opener Mayank Agarwal was another solid performer, continuing his good form with 77-run knock.
Came into the side in place of Rohit Sharma, lost his wicket for 9 runs to Josh Hazlewood. However, Cheteshwar Pujara and Mayank Agarwal established a 116-run partnership stand to build a strong foundation for India. Mayank looked delightful with his front foot punches through the cover. He was outwitted by Nathan Lyon on 77. Having hit the off-spinner for a 6 straight down the ground, Agarwal attempted another big hit in the over and perished to Lyon's bounce, hauling out at the long on. Following his departure, Pujara shared a 54-run stand with captain Virat Kohli and a 48-run stand with vice-captain Ajinkya Rahane. Post-tea, Australia were able to make a quick breakthrough as Virat Kohli was caught down leg side. Mitchell Starc then had Rahane caught behind in the 71st over with a sharp rising unplayable bouncer. India crossed the 200 in the 63rd over but needed a partnership at this juncture. Hanuma Vihari proved to be a handy partner for Pujara as the duo put on 50 runs in 72 balls. Vihari kept the scoreboard ticking with minimum first, batting at a strike rate of 67.2. He took pressure off Pujara at the other end, who was solid as ever and celebrated his 18th test century and his third of the series in 199 balls. At the SCG, Pujara faced 250 balls, hitting 16 of them for fours and added 75 runs for the unbeaten 5th wicket stand with Vihari. At stumps, Pujara was batting on 130 and Hanuma Vihari was unbeaten at 39 and were holding fort for the visiting side, which is in pursuit of a maiden series triumph on Australian soil. Sports Desk, DD News.
And my colleague Tapush Bhattacharya is joining us for a chat on the first day of the 4th test match. Tapush, thanks for joining us in the bulletin. We can't talk enough about Pujara. What a stunning form, and he has indeed emerged as a backbone for the test batsman of Indian cricket.
Absolutely, that's what Pujara's job was supposed to be, and that is what he has been doing. In fact, from 2018, the start of 2018, he has showed that you may have the class of Virat Kohli, Rahane, Rohit Sharma, Murali Vijay, KL Rahul in your squad. You have all the stroke makers in the world, but end of the day, you need somebody to be there and graft and anchor the innings, and that is exactly what he has been doing for the last 1.5 years. His average against spinners from January 2018 is over 160, and you can very well imagine the way he has been playing against the spinners and also against the pacers. He grafted well. He made sure that he doesn't lose his wicket, anchor the innings, and that is what bore fruit for him. In fact, that's one of the reasons why India is right now 2-1 up in that series,
right?
That's one of the reason why in this 4th and the final test in Sydney, the Indian team looks to be in a position of command, and if if things do go well, they are well within the reach to clinch of their maiden Test series win on Australian soil. So
Right, Tapush.
keeping those things in mind, definitely the third ton in the series, that's something that bodes well for Team India.
And for the superstitious among us, Taposh, each time Cheteshwar Pujara scores a ton, India has won in the series so far.
You take out in this the 4-match Test series. In the first Test match, he scored a century. India won. In the third Test match, he scored a century. India won.
Right.
Here also 130 unbeaten. So it's not done yet. You would be
That's
expecting
right.
in fact for a player like Cheteshwar Pujara who has a knack of scoring huge run and staying on the crease for a long duration, he will be looking at on day 2 to score his double century. If that happens, definitely India will be in a driver's seat, and they will be looking to make sure that get the Australian team bowled out and
Right,
make
Taposh.
their follow on.
Another person who's responsible for putting India in the driver's seat. Let's talk about Mayank Agarwal. Second Test match, made his debut in the previous one. What confidence?
Absolutely. In the first 2 Test matches, we saw the opening partnership was a cause of concern for Team India.
Yes.
In fact, in the third Test match, we saw Indian team management junk both their regular openers, Murali Vijay and KL Rahul, and going for a makeshift opener in Hanuma Vihari and Mayank Agarwal. Mayank Agarwal in the third Test and as well as in this Test match showed that he is a classy player. He's somebody who is what you call in the old-fashioned mold. So he doesn't do much in the first hour or so. He makes sure that the ball loses his shine, and once that does happen,
right.
he has those classy shots to come up with. Unlike some of the other Indian batsmen who are very risky in nature, if you
Right.
take a look at the first 60, 70 odd runs, he reminds you a lot of a classical
That's
school
right.
of batting, where you hit the ball straight right in the V. When we talk about the V, it's basically the mid off and the mid on region. These are the back of the bowler, which is very important, where you show the full face of the bat, and that is where
And
you
Taposh.
negate the edges.
And Taposh, to what extent did the pitch contribute for the Indian batsmen? Australian bowlers, Pat Cummins, for instance, weren't as effective as they were in the previous matches.
Sydney overall, if you take a
Yes.
look at the last 7-8 years, in fact the domestic circuit also, you will find that Sydney SCG pitch has become more docile. Earlier when Indian team used to tour in the 70s, 80s, in fact till 2000, it was the only pitch in the continent which used to support spin. Here in the last 7-8 years, the pitch has actually become more docile. It's more what you call a batsman's paradise. So it's not Indian team currently has scored 303 for 4. So it's not that difficult for a batsman to score runs here. The only point is that they have to stay. They have to grab there to make sure that they get their eye in. Once you get your eye in, stroke making is not a major problem in SCG. But you have to give credit to the batsman also. So first 2 days in SCG, it will be really helpful. But
All right.
once the pitches, if you take a look at the pitches in SCG, it has a tendency to suit spinners as the day progresses. So
And Taposh, having said that, 2 spinners in the Indian team,
Yes.
Ravindra Jadeja, Jadhav, how important is that selection for Captain Kohli, who's been responsible for putting these boys together?
big decision. Ashwin was not fit, so the option he had was Jadeja and Kuldeep Yadav. Kuldeep Yadav, he will be playing this first Test in Australia, so definitely there are a lot of pressure on him. But Jadeja is a pro guy. He has done in the last Test match also. He has done exceptionally well. So
Right.
he thrives on these kind of surfaces. So SCG, once it starts, giving some assist to the spinners, already Nathan Nayan at times showed with his spin and guile that it is not going to be easy. You have to give credit to the way Pujara used his feet to reach down the absolutely at the pitch of the ball and
Right,
negate all the smother all the spin that it had. But it won't be that easy to come down the track for, let's say, a guy like Ravindra Jadeja, who is very quick, in the air, and off the pitch also is pretty quick.
Right.
For Kuldeep Yadav, that will be a difficult proposition. So if you use your feet against Kuldeep Yadav, there is a lot of chance that with the spin you may get either stump or
All right,
get
Taposh.
bowled.
But for now, I think the focus is going to be what a big score that Indian batsman can put together on
If
day
India
two
can,
of
if
the-
India can manage to reach somewhere, over 450, 500, the match will be, let's just say that it'll not just be well poised, but India definitely will be in the driver's seat.
All right, let's wait and watch if that happens. Thanks very much for joining us for this chat. Catch you later, Taposh. Thanks. And we're heading for a short break. Lots more coming up in sports news. Stay with us.
मिठाई के साथ मटर के दाने?
हाँ, ये सब तुम्हारे लिए हैं।
लेकिन क्यों?
माँ कहती है मटर के दाने शक्ति और बल का प्रतीक है। ये एक प्रथा है भाई, ताकि तुम हमेशा बलशाली रहो और वक्त पड़ने पर मेरी रक्षा कर सको। पर मुझे क्यों?
ताकि तुम सक्षम बनो और अपनी रक्षा खुद कर सको, बिना किसी मदद के।
तुम्हारी सोच है औरों से जुदा।
क्योंकि मेरी बहन है सबसे जुदा।
आपकी बेटी भी है आपके बेटों के बराबर, उसे समान रूप से दे फलने फूलने का अवसर।
सोच नहीं अपनाओ, बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ।
एक था डब्बा इकलौता जिसमें डलता था कूड़ा सा, निकल घरों से आनन फानन गंदगी का पहाड़ बन जाता, सड़ता जलता ये कूड़ा धरती हवा दोनों को दूषित करता। फिर डब्बे नीले और हरे हो गए, सूखा और गीला कचरा अलग हो। अब सूखा रिसाइकलर को बिकता और गीले का बनता बढ़िया कंपोस्ट जो हमें बनाता एनवायरनमेंट का दोस्त।
स्वच्छता की ओर कदम बढ़ाएं। स्वच्छ सर्वेक्षण 2019 में अपने शहर को नंबर 1 बनाएं।
बात तो सही है।
हम सबके प्रिय पूज्य बापू का ही आशीर्वाद है कि बीते 4 वर्षों में समस्त भारतवासी स्वच्छ क्रांति के दूत बन चुके हैं।
आवासन और शहरी कार्य मंत्रालय द्वारा जनहित में जारी।
यार काम पर क्या तो तुम। अरे हो गया क्या भाई? 2 मिनट यहाँ पे, 5 मिनट निकला, 2:30 बजे की मीटिंग, पहले ये तो हो जाए। अरे भाई हो गया क्या? क्या कर दिया गाड़ी को?
So your car is fixed.
थैंक यू, जानी बचा लिया था आपने।
That's okay, sir. It's my job.
काम कितना ही मुश्किल हो, संभाली लेती है। ये है नए भारत की नई बेटियां। बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ, महिला एवं बाल विकास मंत्रालय द्वारा जनहित में जारी।
Welcome back. You're watching Sports News. Renowned cricket coach Ramakant Achrekar, who died due to age-related ailments, was cremated on Thursday with his most famous ward, Sachin Tendulkar, in attendance for a tearful adieu. Achrekar, the childhood coach of Sachin Tendulkar, passed away at 87 on Wednesday at his Shivaji Park residence in Dadar in central Mumbai. When the body was taken outside the ground, a young boy who practiced there gave a guard of honor amid chants of Amar Rahe. Tendulkar, along with Achrekar's other wards like Vinod Kamli, Balwinder Singh Sandhu and Chandrakant Pandit, took part in the procession to the crematorium where his body was consigned to flames. Moving on, Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis yesterday launched Khelo India 2019 Youth Games app, radio jingle and TVC. State Sports Minister Vinod Tawade, who was also present at the launch, said the app is one-stop source for all the information on the venues, events for the sportsmen and sports lovers who will be coming for this mega event. The minister added the infrastructure is also being developed for the event as well as for encouraging future sportsmen in the country. Khelo India Youth Games is being held in Pune, Maharashtra from 8th to 20th January 2019. Tawade added stadiums are going to be named after famous and accomplished sportsmen including Kashpa Jadhav. The app is developed by students of College of Engineering Pune. The information will also be displayed which will help visitors to know better about the famous sportspersons there. Some football news. Manchester City and Liverpool meet at the Etihad Stadium tonight in what should prove to be a huge match in deciding the destination of Premier League title. City's festive failings have seen Liverpool take a 7-point lead in the title race heading into 2019, and Jurgen Klopp's side remain unbeaten in the top flight. Liverpool crushed Arsenal 5-1 at Anfield in their final game of 2018 to end the year on a high, and win against Pep Guardiola's champions would make the Reds heavy favourites for the first league title in 29 years.
It's the biggest clash so far of the Premier League season. Third place Manchester City host first place Liverpool on Thursday night in the first game of the 2019 for both teams. And it's a contest that could go a long way in deciding who ends up winning the league come the spring. Jurgen Klopp's team enters the game with an undefeated record and 54 points, while City has 48. Manchester City has led the league for most of the season, but recent results has turned the tide, putting Liverpool in the driver's seat in New Year. No team is playing better than Liverpool. The Reds have scored at least 3 goals in each of their last 4 games, having put 5 past Arsenal last time out. And with a win at Etihad, the Reds would go 10 points clear of City. Manchester City lost its scoring touch a bit in recent weeks. From December 8th to Boxing Day, the club lost 3 of its 4 Premier League games, scoring 3 goals in the 3 losses. In the 7 games leading up to the rough patch, City scored 26 goals. Thursday night will see the Reds tasked with their toughest outing of the season. However, as City awaits at Etihad, Klopp's men have built up a 7-point advantage over their rivals, following a dip in form for Pep Guardiola's men. Liverpool must make sure they don't simply allow their opponents an easy route back into the title race, while victory for the Reds could be a season-defining moment. So brace up for an evening full of quality, controversy and drama. Sports Desk, GD News.
And meanwhile, Jurgen Klopp said that Liverpool are facing one of the most difficult fixtures in soccer when they take on Manchester City in Thursday's blockbuster Premier League meeting between the two teams. Klopp said City is best team in the world with an outstanding manager in Pep Guardiola.
It's a normal game against Manchester City, a very difficult one of the most difficult games you can play in a modern football world, away at City. We felt that plenty of times. It's a really strong football team with an outstanding manager, and that's how it is. Before you play them, you never know. We have to be prepared as good as possible. We have to be brave. We have to be full of desire, angry again, all that stuff. Like in all the other games, we have to be that. And but with the knowledge that the opponent is, for me, still the best team in the world. That's how it is. And I don't say that to say that. I said it weeks ago because I'm 100% my opinion, because that's the way how they play and all the things they achieve, the things they will achieve and all that stuff. So nothing changed. Only the points changed, but not the preparation for the game.
And Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola hailed Premier League leaders Liverpool as the best team in Europe, but said that his side could take inspiration from last season's 5-0 win at the Etihad Stadium ahead of Thursday's showdown between the two teams.
Last season we beat them 5-0 here, so that doesn't count. I know that. So I know. So it's Liverpool, my friends. So is United the best team in England in all history? So it's Liverpool. So of course can beat us. So yeah, but also we can beat them. So I know today nobody trusts us, nobody make one coin for us. I know that, but it's what it is. So they are in top form. They are, I said in my previous conference, they are in that moment for me the best team in Europe in the way they play, in the consistency, and they control all the details in their game. So, but it's a good challenge for us. So we're going to reduce the gap.
All right, humble managers of the two big teams. Moving on, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Manchester United made it 4 wins out of 4 in the Premier League on Wednesday, beating Newcastle to close the gap on 4th place Chelsea, who were held at home by Southampton. Elsewhere on Wednesday, 10-man Huddersfield lost 2-1 at home to Burnley, who also finished 10-man, while Crystal Palace beat the Wolves 2-0 away from home.
Manchester United continued their perfect record under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with a 2-0 victory over Newcastle United at St James Park. Manchester United paused possession, but a resolute Newcastle defence kept clear-cut chances to a minimum, prompting Solskjaer to throw on Lukaku and Alexis Sanchez shortly after our mark. The changes bore fruit immediately, and the interim boss will be equally pleased that United managed just their third clean sheet of the season in the Premier League. Substitute Romelu Lukaku broke the deadlock just 38 seconds after coming on midway through the second half. There was little the Newcastle keeper could do about the second goal. Rashford rounding off a delicious move to notch his third goal in 4 games under the new coach. Meanwhile, Chelsea have been held to a goalless draw by Southampton in Wednesday's Premier League fixture at Stamford Bridge. The Blues failed to mount sustained pressure on the Southampton goal at any point during the contest. This performance shows why Sarri has opted to strengthen his squad, as once again Morata failed to impress up front, with the Spaniard failing to score for the 7th consecutive Premier League game. Chelsea entertained Championship side Nottingham Forest in the third round of the FA Cup on Saturday, and then faced Tottenham away from home in the first leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final on 8th of January, before returning to league action on 12th of January when they play Newcastle. In another Premier League match, Crystal Palace defeated Wolverhampton Wanderers 2-0. Crystal Palace had failed to score in the 2 straight games since turning Manchester City 3-2 on December 22nd, but Evo finally ended the drought in the 83rd minute. Milivojevic then made sure of the win from the penalty spot after Ryan Bennett fouled Wilfred Zaha. Palace stayed in the 14th place with 22 points, 7 points behind Wolves in 9th place. Sports Desk, DD News.
And Arsenal were back to their very best as they thrashed fellow Londoners Fulham. Meanwhile, Tottenham were equally impressive as they outclassed the Cardiff with their talismanic skipper writing his name into the history books. All this and more in this report.
Jamie Vardy's 58th minute strike gave Leicester City a 1-0 win at Everton and condemned Marco Silva's side to their 4th defeat in 5 English Premier League games. After a poor first half, the decisive goal came when Everton defender Michael Keane miscontrolled the ball to Ricardo Pereira, who sent Vardy through. The striker made no mistake with a low drive past Jordan Pickford before celebrating with a cartwheel in front of the travelling Foxes fans. Harry Kane got himself into the record book again as Tottenham Hotspur started 2019 in style, outclassing Cardiff City to prevail 3-0 on Tuesday. Kane's 3rd minute opening goal is the 5th successive New Year's Day he has scored in the Premier League, equaling a record held by Andy Cole and Steven Gerrard. Christian Eriksen and Song Heung-min added further goals as Spurs had the win wrapped up before half-time and reclaimed the 2nd place, a point above Manchester City and 6th behind leaders Liverpool. Sports Desk, DD News.
Let's talk about tennis. Rafael Nadal has been forced to pull out of the Brisbane International due to a thigh injury. It is the latest injury. And now our special segment today in the history of sports. In 1929, Don Bradman made his maiden test century in Melbourne, one of the 19 against England, a record for any batsman against any one country. That's Don Bradman for you, and he's made his test century in Melbourne. Remember, that was the venue. And also it's the birth of Indian seamer Chetan Sharma, 1966, history of the day. This was the day when the legendary bowler was bowled. 1985, Mohammad Azharuddin announces his arrival with a century on debut in an otherwise tedious draw with England in Calcutta. And with that, we conclude this edition of Sports News. News and updates continue on DD News. I'll take your leave. Namaskar.